Hi guys, we are on day 12 of I Desire Mercy, Not Sacrifice by me. This is also week 4, day 1. This is our last week. This is a short study, or at least in my assessment of studies, it's short. 4 weeks is not much. My last study that I wrote was 8 weeks. So this is half. You can do it. Okay, today we're talking about what's required in the form of mercy. But first, I realized that yesterday as I was talking about mercy being the new wine and the patch, the fulfillment. So all the things that Jesus had said in that chapter about you've heard it said, or maybe that's not even that chapter, but you've heard it said this, now I say this. You've heard it say, don't hate your neighbor, or not hate your neighbor, don't curse your enemies or whatever, and love your enemies. And I say, even if you call them a fool, you're in fire or in danger of the fires of hell. All the stuff that he kind of upped the ante. And then he's telling them, look, I fulfilled it all. I didn't come to obey the law the way you Pharisees think so. I came to fulfill the law. I came to perfect it. I came to wrap it up in a bow and say it's finished. That is what he came to do. So when he says, I desire mercy, not sacrifice, from our yesterday's study, he's saying, you've heard it say sacrifice. I now say mercy. Mercy literally took the place. This is the fulfillment of what sacrifice is about, this mercy thing. So the whole study, I desire mercy, not sacrifice, could really be summed up in mercy has taken the place of sacrifice. So therefore, act merciful. So today we're moving into what is required. And I'm going to go through a couple Old Testament verses because we kind of think of, well, sacrifices were required in the Old Testament and that's what God liked and that's what, whatever. But that's not actually true. These are Old Testament verses about God saying something about sacrifice. Micah 6:6-8. With what shall I come to the Lord and bow myself before the God on high? Shall I come to him with burnt offerings, with yearling calves? Does the Lord take delight in 1,000 rams, 10,000 rivers of oil? Like he's over the top now saying, oh yeah, so much sacrifice, I'll do this. Shall I present my firstborn for my rebellious acts, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? He has told you, O man, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you? But to do justice, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. That's what this whole day is about. So Psalms 51 is another Old Testament verse. For you do not delight in sacrifice, otherwise I would give it to you. You are not pleased with burnt offerings. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O God, you do not despise. So even back when they knew they were supposed to give sacrifices, they already knew that's not really what God wants. God wants our heart. 1 Samuel 15. Does the Lord delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as much as in obeying the voice of the Lord? To obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. For rebellion is like the sin of divination, and arrogance is like the evil of idolatry. Bam. So God hasn't changed his mind from Old to New Testament. When he fulfilled the law, he wasn't saying, oh, that was a bad idea, I got something better. He's saying, that was a great idea, and now watch me bring it into fulfillment. Okay, so when we were talking about shadows, the sacrificial system is a shadow. That was on week 3, day 1. So day 9, if you're doing the YouTube stuff, it's an illustration of what Christ would accomplish on the cross. Okay, then I have this little fill in the blanky guys, which is going back to the 1 Samuel 15:22. We don't need to do that because I just said it. So I'm just having you fill in what he actually says so it sticks in your head. So in today's language, you might say obedience is better than tithing or church attendance and anything else that you might do for God. We have this weird thing that he wants us to do things for him. There was a guy, Paul Young, what's his first name? Well, whatever. I know him as Paul Young, the guy who wrote The Shack. He was talking at a conference I was at not very long ago, and he was like, why do we always say, use me, God, use me? Do you want anyone else to use you in your life? Or are you like, oh yes, please use me? He said, God's not like this, oh, well, I can use you, therefore you're useful. He wants to love us. He wants to have relationship with us. He wants to, adore us and let us adore him and worship him. He's not all about, how can I use this one? And, oh yeah, you're useful, so therefore you're worthy. There's nothing about that in God. So anyway, so all the things that we can do for God is whatever. 1 Samuel 15, this is another story that, I don't know if I had you read it a different day. I think I did, because I say if you haven't read it already, go back and read it. So maybe I asked you to read it a different day, but 1 Samuel 15, go read it, push pause. It's the story of Saul. He's just conquered some people. I don't remember who. But basically God says, wipe it all out. Don't keep the livestock. Don't keep the stuff. Just wipe them out. And instead, Saul's like, I think I'll keep some good stuff and make a sacrifice for God out of these rams, or out of these, I don't know, some kind of animal he decides to make a sacrifice out of. And God gets really pissed off at him. He's like, dude, I told you not to keep anything for me. I told you not to keep anything. Why would you disobey me? So it seems kind of absurd that Saul literally had the instructions, wipe them all out. And he didn't. But we do the same thing. We often are like, I hear you, God. Okay, I got that. And then we go out and don't do exactly what he said. And we're like, oh, I thought maybe. Sometimes it's unclear. Sometimes God is like, I need you to do this. And he doesn't give you all the fine print details. So you can say, oh, I didn't know I wasn't supposed to, like if he says, go out to the bar and minister to some people. Okay, I will go out to the bar and minister to some people. If somebody tells me to go out to a bar, I'm going to have a drink because I'm at a bar and I'm not alcoholic or anything. So it's not a vice to me, but I would have a drink if I was sitting at a bar. And then maybe later or something, somebody comes up, I saw you drinking and you're, blah, blah, blah. Whatever else could happen. And then you're like, God, I thought I was doing what you told me to. And, maybe in the fine print, he had thought, don't get a drink. I just told you to minister. But these are things that you can actually argue and say, well, you didn't tell me. I thought you told. Anyway, I'm just trying to say that sometimes he gives you specific details about what to do and sometimes he doesn't. But here, for Saul, he totally gave him specific details and he disobeyed. So just like Proverbs 3, 5 and 6, the famous Sunday school verse of lean not on your own understanding, in all your ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct your path. Don't ever give that one up. It might have been something you learned when you were 7, but it totally applies when you're 50 or 70. Okay, so as humans, we're really good at reasoning away our actions. We believe often that if we are, that what we are doing is right, even if it's not what God told us to do. If it's not what God told you to do, it's sin. So anyway, what does the Lord require of you? To act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. This is like literally hey, I got a specific thing from God. He just told me, act justly, love mercy, walk humbly. It's cool when he gives you specifics, because you're like, okay, I've got the specifics. This is what I'm going to do. So let's look at what are the words in here. The justly word is translates. The word is mishpat, and it translates to judgment. So I am always like, So you want us to act justly, which requires judgment. And then all the people are like, don't judge, don't judge, don't judge. So they're quoting Matthew 7, right? Matthew 7:1. Don't judge lest ye be judged. But the whole premise of that verse is remove the plank so that you can see clearly to help your brother remove the speck, right? It doesn't say remove the plank and also don't look at your brother's speck. It's like, No, we're supposed to help. And when I say brother, I mean brother Christian, sister Christian. And now I'm singing in my head. If you're my age, you might be singing as well. Oh, the time has come. Never mind, I don't need to go there. So we remove the plank so that we can help. You know, we don't condemn. This is not the kind of judgment I'm talking about. Condemnation, like you're going to hell kind of thing, is only God. We have no part in that, obviously, because who are we? But we are supposed to help our fellow believers to remove sin out of their life. If nobody ever told you, like if you're brand new and you have no clue that, you know, watching demonic stuff is going to give you nightmares, it would be really helpful for somebody to say, hey, maybe don't watch horror movies. You are allowing demons into your life. Oh, I didn't know that. You know, people don't know. They're like, I think I'll just watch all kinds of stuff, demons all over the screen, and nothing's going to affect me. Things affect people. So anyway, brothers and sisters, if someone is caught in sin, you who live by the Spirit should restore that person gently. But watch yourselves, or you may also be tempted. That's Galatians 6:1. And that is how we're supposed to do it. Restore them gently and watch out, because you could be snared into the same sin. If you're not a strong Christian, no, I'm not going to use that example. Yay me. I shut my mouth. I didn't give a real life example. But anyway, you know how strong you are. Know what you can handle and what you can't. Don't put yourself in a situation that you might get tempted or that you are just not strong enough. Like, yeah, if there's some massive witchcraft going on in space and you don't have any experience with casting out anything, don't go. Don't go like, I think I'll just waltz right into this palm reader's place and cast out all the demons. It'll be great. Don't do that. That's stupid. If God says, I want you to go in there and do that, then yeah, do it. But for the most part, you need some backup, you need some prayer stuff, you need some experience. You know, start with, I can't stress enough, just do what God tells you to do when God tells you to do it. Don't take it on yourself to change the world with things that you think you might can do, and oh, if it turns out that they get you instead, whoops. Okay, that's a side note. Okay, to love mercy, the words, I'm still breaking down the words. So we already did justly, which translate to judgment. Love in this verse translate to perfect. There's also other translations of love, obviously, but one of the main ones for this verse is to perfect. And then mercy, which we've also already talked about all the definitions of mercy, the goodness, the compassion, the loving kindness, all of those are wrapped up here. And then to walk humbly, and humbly, tsana, T-S-A-N-A, means modestly. And then as a verb, it means to keep close, reserve, preserve. So I decided to have a little spot right here of making up your own version of the to act justly, love mercy, walk humbly with your God. My example for my version, my rendition of this verse is God requires you to be fair in your assessment of others, to perfect the way you love others, and to keep close to God as you stay under him. So that is your, other than the fill in the blanks on the other page and reading 1 Samuel 15, the only little homework is to write that verse in your own words so that it sinks into you, so that you know exactly what he means by act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with your God. This ended up being the longest day, but I think it's because I took a little time to say what was from yesterday. So 15 minutes almost. Whoa, that's 4 extra. Bye.